Hello, welcome everyone to lecture number 20 of Fundamentals of Computing. This is on types of operating system. In this lecture, I will discuss about batch operating system, single user, single tasking operating system, single user multitasking operating system, multi-user multitasking operating system, multi-processing operating system, real-time operating system, network operating system and distributed operating system. So, let us first start with the batch operating system. From the name itself, you can get an idea. Here we have the batch. So, what is the batch? It should be the batches of jobs that you want to execute. So, from the diagram you see we have the various users, user 1, user 2 up to user n. User 1 wants to execute job 1, 2 wants to execute job 2 and so on. So, what they will do, they submit their jobs to the computer operator. Computer operator first collects these jobs and forms the batches of the jobs, that is according to the type of programs. Similar type are taken in one batch, or you can say similar type of jobs are grouped in a one batch, and then operator will give it to the computer for its execution. So, that is the rough idea of batch operating system. So, what it exactly do? There is no direct interaction between the user and the computer system, because here user has to submit what? The jobs to the operator, and these computer operator submits a server batches, that is each batch consists of server jobs on an input device. Once it is submitted, then it will be executed by the system. So, here the jobs are batched by type of language and the requirement. Similar type of have been placed in the same batch or in a given batch. Special program monitor manages the execution of each program in the batch, and the monitor is always in the main memory and available for execution. So, this is how the jobs are executed in a batch operating system. What are the advantages of this batch operating system? There is no interaction of user with the computer system directly. It is to the computer operator, because user submits their jobs to the computer operator, and then the computer operator will make a batches of these jobs, similar type of jobs, and then submit it to the input device of the computer system for its execution. So, it means what? There is no mechanism for prioritization, and it will also saves the time that was wasted earlier for each process in context switching from one environment to another. Why it is so? Because J1, J2 and J3, these are the similar type of jobs. So, if I submit it to the computer, then they are similar type, say they are written in the C language. So, they will need a C compiler for its execution. Once it is over, then I will execute what the J4 and J5, say these are written in the Pascal. So, for execution of the Pascal, I need what? The compiler of a Pascal. Context switching means what? If I have submitted J1 and then J4, it means what? It needs a C compiler, then it needs what? Your Pascal, then there is a switching of this. So, this is not there in a batch operating system, but there are many disadvantages. What are these? All the jobs of a batch are executed sequentially, means one after the other. The output is obtained only after all jobs are executed. If a certain job has to be executed on an urgent basis, then this is not possible with the batch operating system. Why? Because there is no direct interaction of the user with the computer system. The jobs of a particular batch might take a long time to execute, and this may lead to what? Starvation for other jobs in other batches. If the job of a batch requires some input output operation, then the CPU must wait till the input output operation gets completed. So, it means what? We are wasting the CPU time. The CPU sits idle. They have to wait for that as long to complete their input output operation. So, it will affect the execution time. CPU cannot take any other job by its own and execute it. So, this is what was the advantages and disadvantages of a batch operating system. Where we can use a batch operating system? Obviously, it is used in the payroll system, where you have to automate the payroll of employees of an organization. For that, you have to compute the salary of the employees every month. So, that can be done through the batch processing, and it will be useful for this type of process, because the calculation of a salary of an employee is to be repeated for every month, or you can say each month. So, this is all about the batch operating system. Next operating system is a single user operating system. This single user operating system, it may be single user single tasking, or it may be single user multitasking operating system. Now, let us see what is the difference between these two. In the case of a single user single tasking, it allows only one program to execute at a time. That is why its name is single user single tasking. Whereas, in the case of single user multitasking, it will allow a single user to perform several tasks simultaneously. The advantage of a single user single tasking is what? It will occupy less space in memory, it is cost effective and works very fast. Examples of a single user single tasking is, the best example, MS-DOS, that is Microsoft Disk Operating System, Palm operating system for Palm handheld computers. It is like function like printing a document, downloading images, etc. This can be achieved only at a time, means once it will do the printing a document, when it is completed, then it will download the images, not both of them simultaneously. But in the case of single user multitasking, you can type a document in MS Word while listening to a song and downloading a file from the internet. It means 3 jobs can be done at the same time by the single user. So, because of that, it is time saving, high productivity in a smaller time frame, and memory usage is less when performing multiple tasks. Example of a single user multitasking is Microsoft Windows and Macintosh operating system. So, in short, we say that when we execute a single task by the single user, then that is the case of single user single tasking, and when a single user performs multiple tasks simultaneously, then that is a single user multitasking. So, another operating system is multi-user multitasking operating system. From this picture you can see that so many users are there which is attached to the main system, that is the user 1. Okay. It means, and here also you can see that there is a one computer system and user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these are attached to it. It means what? Multiple users are accessing this. So, what is done in the multi-user multitasking operating system? It enables multiple users on different computers to access a single system, that is, it allows more users to connect to the main computer to perform more than one job at a time. Users on multiple terminals can access the same data and application program that are stored on the main computer. It is quite complicated because here you have to manage the number of jobs and the resources which are required by the multiple users in an efficient way. Each user is accessing the same operating system at different machines. It is used in mainframes and similar machines. If main system fails, it can affect the users connected to it. This was about the multi-user. Another one is multi-processing. From the image you can conclude that it contains so many, or so not the so many, number of processors in a system. What it will do over here? From this diagram you can see CPU 1, 2, 3, 4 and n number of CPUs are there in the computer system. In this diagram you can see computer 1, this contains CPU 1 and CPU 2, that is 2 processors which can access the same memory. So, what we will do in the multiprocessing, as the name says, multi means more than one processing that can be done, and for processing more than one processor are required. So, it means what? It consists of several processors that share a common physical memory, and because of that it provides a higher computing power and speed, because when the several processors are there, so the number of jobs or the processes that gets executed will be more. All processors operate under a single operating system, and the multiplicity of a processor and how they act together are transparent to others. Advantage, obviously it will enhance performance. Enhanced performance means what? Since the number of processors are more, so more number of processes can be executed at a given time, and it can execute several tasks concurrently. So, it means what? It increases the throughput of the system, and obviously it is more than that of the single user operating system or the operating system that contains a single processor. If possible, the system divides the task into the subtasks that can be executed in parallel in different processes. So, in that way it will increase the speed of execution, or you can say it will enhance the execution, or you can say the number of jobs that can be executed at a given time will be more. Another type of operating system is a real-time operating system. So, here IoT, Internet of Things is there. You might have come across what the traffic control, how the traffic is controlled through the traffic light. It gives the red signal, and after some time the yellow and then the green signals. So, that is automated. How it works? That is by using the real time operating system. So, what exactly the real time operating system is? It is nothing but it is a specialized operating system which is designed for applications where data needs to be processed with strict predictable time constraints. Means this job is to perform in a given time. for a rocket launching, there is a counting from 10 to 0. So, at 10 it will do something, some operation, at 9 it will perform some other operation, at 8 it will perform some other operations, and so on. At 0 it finally it goes. So, what I mean to say, for a given time a specific operation is to be performed. These are designed to guarantee that tasks will be completed within a specific time frame, and these are widely used in embedded systems like digital watches, traffic lights, medical devices. It can be used in a flight control system, radar processing, guidance systems in aircraft, or control the various functions in the cars such as engine management, anti-lock braking system, airbag deployment. All of these uses the real-time operating system. This real-time operating system, it may be categorized as a hard real-time operating system or a soft real-time operating system. Hard means what? It guarantees the maximum time for critical operations and completes them on time. Example is what? Air traffic control system. Soft means what? It only guarantee a maximum of the time the critical task will get priority over other tasks, but no assurity of completing it in a defined time. So, example is a online gaming, video conferencing, because if there is a delay in seconds, then it is not going to harm anything. But in the case of a hard operating system, if there is a delay of a given operation, then it is going to harm that. For example, for the case of air traffic control, if there is a change of delay of sending a signals to the aeroplane, then it may cause a very big problem. Maybe more than one aeroplane is going to land at the same time, that may cause a problem. Another operating system is a network operating system and a distributed operating system. From the figure itself, you can see that both of them uses the local area network and wide area networks. Means here the computers are connected with each other and the data is transferred among these computers, whether it is a network operating system or it is a distributed operating system. But there is some differences between these two. What are the differences? In the case of network operating system, it manages individual computers on a network and allows them to share resources and communicate. Whereas, in the case of distributed operating system, it treats multiple computers as a single unified system and managing the resources and providing a single system image to the user. It means in the case of network operating system, you have an idea how many computer systems are connected to each other through the network. Whereas in the case of distributed operating system, you don't know which computer has performed your job. You have submitted a job and that gets executed, or you have requested for the resources that has been provided to you, but don't know from the which computer, because the whole system acts as a single system. In case of network operating system, it facilitates resource sharing and communication between independent computers on a network. Whereas in a distributed, it presents a single unified system image to user and application, even though a system is distributed across multiple computers. Windows Server, Novell NetWare, these are the examples of network operating system. Tornado and Mac, these are the example of distributed operating system. In the network operating system, it manages its own resources at the network level management, whereas in the case of a distributed operating system, it has a global resource management across the network. It means what? In the case of network operating system, each computer on the network generally has its own local operating system, and the network operating system manages network level resources and communication, while distributed operating system manages resources across the entire networks as if they were single coherent system. So, this is the difference between the network operating system and the distributed operating system. On the architecture view, the difference is what? Network operating system uses a client server model, whereas distributed operating system uses a master slave or peer to peer model, that I will explain in my next slide. Application of a network system may be aware of a network structure, but in the case of a distributed application typically see a single network structure is visible to applications in network operating system, but it is not in the case of distributed operating system. If some of the system fails in the network operating system, that it may impact the network, but it is not in the case of distributed, because that job will be taken by the other system present in the network. So, this is the all difference between the network operating system and the distributed operating system. Now, I will discuss what is this client server model, master slave and peer to peer model, because client server model is used in a network operating system, whereas distributed operating system uses master slave or peer to peer models. So, this is the diagrams that represents your client server, master slave and peer to peer networks. So, let us start with the client server. Here you see that there is a one server and number of clients are attached to it. It means what? Client sends a request to the server and that request is serviced by the server to that particular client. This is the case in a client server. So, it sends some request demanding for some services from the server, and then that server provides that services to the particular you can say client. Here example of this client server architecture is the best example is the web browsing and email, because in the case of a email, you whether you are using a Gmail or Rediff or something else, you might have heard that their server is there, you are sending a request to the server of a Gmail, and then you log in and write some mail, and that will be the request is what sent it to the some other recipients to whom that email should be reached. So, it communicate over the LAN, that is the local area network. In the case of a master slave, what will happen? Here you have a master and the nodes that are attached to it is called the slaves. It means what? Generally master means what? Who does everything. So, what it will do? It will master will control and coordinate the activities of other processes, that is the slave nodes. Resource management, centralized control, load balancing, fault tolerance, everything is done in the master slave architecture, and it is the responsibility of the master for tasks like resource scheduling. So, this will be done by the master itself, not by the slaves. Example of this master slave is you might have used the Hadoop cluster, or if not, then let us take a simple example, that is the print job spooler. Print job spooler, what it does? Here the master receives print request and selects the slave, that is the printer, and initiate the printing processes. Third one is peer to peer. Peer to peer means what? You can see from here everyone is connected to everyone. That is why it is what? Peer to peer, that we call as P2P. Example of peer to peer, best example is what? Skype and the WhatsApp, where everyone is connected to each other. An individual computer in network can interact and share resources directly with the other computers. There is no central server. So, this is the difference between the client server, master slave and peer to peer network. So, this was all about the different types of operating system. Thank you.